Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to SeanTMac's NFL Pick6, where I, SeanTMac, give you 6 games that I believe will win against the spread. I don't work for a sports app or a casino, and I don't condone gambling. And like my father used to say, never bet with the rent money. And make sure the cat's fed. Forget about it. Let's get started. If you're just joining us, we are currently 47 and 43 as we enter week 16 of the NFL. 3-3 this weekend, depending on what teams you picked with the picks that I gave you. We're going to start first with the Rams at the Seahawks. No easy games this week. Both teams 11 and 3. The Rams beat the Lions. The Seahawks beat the Colts. The Rams will be a 1.5 favorites on the road against Seattle. Let's first start with the Rams. Matthew Stafford still playing that MVP caliber type football. His offensive line. Hey, listen, you got to give them credit. They've done a hell of a job. Hey, listen, they fell a little apart last week against the Detroit Lions. Deservedly so. It happens. But for the most part, they gave him enough time to throw, 5 touchdowns? He has a lot of weapons, of course. You know about Nokia. I'll get the name right sooner or later. Devontae Adams may be questionable. I'm letting you know this now because this game is tomorrow night. Devontae Adams had hurt his hamstring. They didn't say he was out for the season or a couple of weeks. They said it was probable. You might want to hold off before you make a decision because it may be game time decision. With that said, they still have, like I said, Nakua, there you go, Parkinson, and Kyron Williams in the backfield. So they still have their weapons on the offense. As for the defense, yes, they are very good, but I do see a weakness. I notice that their linebackers are very slow, especially getting to plays. And if you just can get one step ahead of them, they're not going to catch you. I understand they're back there to help out the secondary and whatnot. But if it comes to a time where everybody has to do their job individually, they're in for a tough time. Let's go to the Seahawks. Of course, 11-3, as we said. They barely escaped the Colts. Phillip Rivers coming back after 4 years and kept it that close. It makes you wonder how good the Seattle team really is. And unfortunately for me, I still have my doubts. Not only for the team in its entirety, but Sam Darnold. And maybe you call me old-fashioned, but I believe until you show me the game and show me the how far you can go with this team, not just the 14-2 season, 13-4, 12-5, whatever the case may be. You have to convince me that you can travel down this road to the Super Bowl and make some noise. With that said, though, he's got an excellent backfield with Walker and Charbonnet. We noticed already Shaheed, that guy's a miracle worker on the receiving core. Burner is a good wide receiver / tight end as well. And then the magical Cooper Kupp, who always seems to show up when you need him the most. So with that said, their offense can move the ball. There's no question about it. It's just putting up the points they seem to be having a problem with. With that said, their defense is, I don't know, top 6 in the NFL in a lot of categories against the run, pass, and whatnot. They play a very stingy defense, but like any other secondary, if they're out there too long, they will wear down. And the Rams do a very good job of that. Cutting the insides, running the route patterns like deep and whatnot, getting these guys winded, and then they start the running attack. With that said, the Rams are a 1.5 favorites. Still don't have a lot of trust in Sam Darnold, and he better not do that one thing: scramble outside the pocket and try to throw the ball. I don't know why he's trying to mirror Bo Nix or Patrick Mahomes. That ain't him. He needs to stay in the pocket and try not to lose the game. Rams, 1.5 favorite over Seattle. I'm taking the Rams. Next up, we have another good matchup. Green Bay at Chicago. Green Bay 9-4-1. Chicago 10-4. Green Bay lost to the Denver Broncos last week in a well-fought battle. Chicago stepped all over the Cleveland Browns. Let's start with Green Bay real quick. Listen, Jordan Love, to me, he's come a long way. If you watch the first 4, 5, 6 games, still trying to be a gunslinger, which he's not. And now he finally has some really nice finesse on the ball. It's really pretty to see, believe it or not. I really like the way he's throwing. The problem is he needs to distinguish when to put the touch on the ball and when not to. For example, the long passes, he still can't seem to get that together. This is when he has to get with his receiver and tell him, listen, I'm going to overthrow you. You need to make it happen. Because now he's putting a little too much finesse on the ball and he's underthrowing him. I don't know. Maybe we watched 2 different games. It is what it is. He still has a lot of weapons, of course. We know about Dobbs, Fitzpatrick, Reed, and Jacobs in the backfield. Definitely can make a lot of noise. As for the defense, I still have my suspicions. I don't really feel they're that good, especially up front. And mind you, Mitch Parsons is out for the season. That announcement only came not too long ago, last night. He is out for the season. But what you're hoping here is before they got Mitch Parsons, they already had an average defense, which will keep you in games. And I understand that. But Mitch Parsons brought another dimension to that defense. What you're hoping is that he installed some of the things he knows and does into that front five, and they'll put the pressure on if they have to, because that secondary is going to need the help. As to the Bears, listen, 10-4, Caleb Williams, I don't want to call him a game manager, and I'm not going to do that yet, but to me, and I don't understand why nobody else picks up on it, he's too predictable with his passes. I understand. I tried to be a quarterback back in the days. I had my fun and whatnot. When you stand back, set, position, and throw, everybody in the world knows who you're throwing to. He really looks anybody off, okay? And somebody's going to pick up on that, and he's going to be in for a long day and a lot of interceptions. With that said, my belief in the Chicago Bears still tells me that they're not going to go far. Even if they make it into the playoffs, it'll be short-lived. Somebody will watch the film. With that said, they still have an young guy in the backfield. He's devastating. He's really good. And, he can put a lot of linebackers on their back. He's got Moore and Birdie, not to mention Swift. This guy's incredible. Their defense, hey, listen, the defense is not very good. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, especially against the pass and the run. Now, what they have done in the past was takeaways. All right, the takeaway ratio was excellent in the first 6, 7 weeks of the season, and they capitalized on that. They gave their offense another chance to score, or they scored by picking up the fumble interception. It's starting to recede a little bit. You're not getting all those breaks. And now they're finding out Chicago's defense is not really that good. If they come up against a guy like Jordan Love or someone like Stafford in the future, they're in for a very, very long game. With that said, Green Bay is the favorite by 1.5 right now. They're 1.5 favorites over Chicago. Visiting Chicago, I'm going with Green Bay. Next up, we have Jacksonville, Denver. Back to back. Scary games, right? Jacksonville 10-4, Denver 12-2. Jacksonville just beat up on the New York Jets. All right, and Denver lost a good one against Green Bay. It was a good game. We'll start with Jacksonville first. A lot to say about this team. Trevor Lawrence looks really poised and really confident, and that offensive line is doing a hell of a job. to do that for him. I like the way they're breaking up the defensive lines and giving him lanes to run if he has to. That's important. He also has a couple of good backs with ETN and Tootin. Now, these guys are not the biggest guys in the world, but they are fast and elusive. And what they can do is catch the ball. And when he gets in trouble and they spread those lanes, they're out there on the corners ready to take a pass. Another thing about their offense, which includes Jacoby Myers, he's sensational. Thomas and Strange, of course. That offensive core of receivers does something I rarely see with other teams. It's almost like they practice it over and over games, and practice over and over again. Whereas when the route is broken and they're being contained, they know exactly where to go and find a seam to get open. They do that a lot. And as long as Trevor Lawrence has that extra second or two, he's going to find them and they will be open. And they do that very, very well. As for the defense, they're not shabby. But the problem is they don't put all their money into the front line. Not a lot of great pressures, not a lot of blitzes as far as I've seen. They put their money into the linebackers and secondary, sort of that bend but don't break type of defensive mentality. So they like to keep the linebackers home, which helps, especially if you put just a little pressure and make that quarterback move. Those linebackers will move with him. They'll also back up the secondary as well and make tackles for those little dump and dab plays a lot of teams like to do. All right, let's go to Denver. Denver's 12-2. I know everybody's crowning them king and all that nonsense. One of those teams that I just feel is not going to go that far. I personally see a lot of flaws, right? But with that said, first of all, we got Bo Nix, okay? That you can give him the best offensive line in football, and that guy will not stay still. All right. But the funny thing is, when he scrambles out of the pocket, he's very good with his accuracy. He's one of the few quarterbacks that can get away with that. And if that's what works for him, so be it. It's just a matter of time before some sneaky defensive back or linebacker keys up on him and knocks him the hell out. With that said, he's got weapons. Sutton and Franklin, of course, Mims and Humphrey, and of course in the backfield he's got Harvey and Bidet when they use them for special occasions. The defense is great. Listen, you can't take nothing away from them. 16 weeks into the season, they're still playing really good defense. But like every other team, if they're out there too long, they will wear it down. With that said, the Denver Broncos are 3-point favorites at home, deservingly so. The bookies are basically telling you, we really don't know who's going to win this game, but we're going to give Denver their due for being at home. We're going to give them 3 points. I'm not buying into that. I'm picking Jacksonville. Not so much in a close one, but Jacksonville to be the last team to score and win this game. So there you have it. Denver's 3-point favorites over Jacksonville. I'm going with the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Next up, we have the Steelers at the Lions. Steelers 8-6, so are the Lions. Steelers in a totally different situation than the Lions, of course. They Steelers beat Miami on Monday Night Football. The Lions lost in a shootout against the Rams. We're going to start with the Steelers first. And first off, like I like to do, is give Tomlin his due. He's sensational. He really is. This team has so many issues that are foreseen from a lot of people that watch these games that I can pick up. And this guy's a miracle worker. Let me tell you something. But with that said, let's get started with this. Aaron Rodgers having a pretty good above average season, throwing for over 200 yards a game as long as he has time, because you're not going to see him scrambling outside the pocket if he ain't got to. Believe that. It helps that he has, Metcalf to dump off to, and Smith. And one of my favorite players, number 80, Washington. I love when they dump the ball off to him, and he just looks like a robot. He just like grabs the ball and runs right at you. He's great to watch. I love it, and I hope he stays healthy for the rest of the season. With that said, their defense. Listen, I've been saying it all season. Inconsistency from one of the highest paid defenses in football. It's amazing. And now TJ Watt is a probable for Sunday. Understand, he just came off lung surgery. So even if he comes in there after a week off, all right, or 10 days, you really think he's going to be huffing and puffing it every down to get the quarterback? He'll be lucky if he sees a third down here and there to make any kind of noise or effect. Their secondary, they can be beaten by some of the fastest receivers in football, a.k.a. they're going against Ahmad St. Brown and Jameson Williams. Whew, they're in for a long day. If you notice, their defensive backs likes to move up close, but right off the bat, I understand, you try to get that 5-yard coverage, but these guys drop way back because they know they don't have the speed. And they know that sometimes the safeties have to key on something else, and they'll be alone out there. It's something to watch for. And again, Pittsburgh secondary is not very good at holding people on what I like to say medium-sized posts, maybe 12 and outs, 12 and over the middle. That's what the Lions do. Okay, the Lions are 6.5-point favorites at home. All right, like I said, they lost a shootout last week to the Rams. Detroit can have a bad day at the office and still put up 24 plus points. It is what it is. They are one of the best offensive powerhouses in the NFL. Reflecting the 8-6 record, well, that goes on the defense, to be honest with you. Here, the offense, of course, has Jared Goff, who's always had happy feet. So even if you're trying to blitz him, he knows how to pick up on that pretty well. Of course, you got the running backs like Gibbs, east-west type runner, Montgomery, totally different, north to south. These guys can make a lot of things happen. You had the receiving core like Ahmad St. Brown. We know about Jameson Williams. These guys will fly right by you like you're standing in cement. Okay. As for the defense, not very good in the secondary. I'll just get that out of the way. They got to do a lot of man-to-man. And they can do that with Pittsburgh because they don't really have a lot of fast receivers. They do a lot of over-the-middle, short passes and whatnot. They need to contain that and at least keep 2 linebackers home. With that said, that defensive front 4 or 5, especially Hutchinson, really, really needs to pressure Aaron Rodgers and make him run. Make that 49-year-old guy, I know he's 42 or whatnot, but make him run for his life. Anyway, with that said, the Lions are 6.5-point favorites at home. Backs more against the wall than the Steelers. Steelers, even if they lose, they're still in good shape. The Lions have no room for error. Lions will cover the 6.5 points over the Steelers. Then next up we have Patriots at the Ravens. Patriots 11-3. Ravens 7-7. Here the Ravens will be favored by 2.5 points. I know everybody's like, what in the hell are you talking about? Yes. And I'll get to that in a minute. The Ravens will be home. They get the 2.5 from the bookies, of course. That's just respect. Unless you really, really bought into that red, white, and blue Kool-Aid that the Patriots are selling. And if you remember last week, I told you the Buffalo Bills will bring the kid back to earth, which they did. All right, with that said, the Pats, total collapse in the second half against Buffalo, who they lost to, and the Ravens beat Cincinnati. They shut them out. Defense is stepping up again for the Ravens. You got Drake May, who, listen, his claim to fame is scrambling as well, and he likes to run for touchdowns. We've seen that in the past 15 games. He did it twice last week. He's not going to be able to get that opportunity this time, which will actually take away from one of their offensive schemes. Of course, you have Stevenson, Hendrickson in the backfield, along with Driggs, phenomenal, Booty, and of course, great tight end Henry. This guy's pretty effing good. Their defense, they can be ran on, and they can be ran on a lot. They seem to have a weakness, especially right off the center and the guard. I noticed that the running back last week, Cook, had a field day, but just there's like nobody there. Now, I'm pretty sure they'll make their adjustments, but that also means that they're doing that. Somebody's taking away from what the Patriots do a lot of, which is delayed blitzes and outside pressure. So somebody's going to be moving somewhere. And when you have that delayed blitz, again, you probably know, like I know, there's somebody open and there's a hole open somewhere. All right. The Ravens are pretty good at picking up on that, at least the coaches anyway. So the Patriots proved they can be scored on and beaten. I believe they're in for a long day. As we know, the Ravens, 7-7, barely hanging on to that playoff spot behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar has done a great job getting his team from 1-5 to 500. You can slice it or dice it any way you want to. If he's playing hurt or injured, we probably won't know until the end of the season or until they're eliminated. Be it as it may, he has to play like Lamar, who's healthy. In the back of his mind, he's just got to go for it. Derrick Henry needs to get the ball more. Of course, he's got Mitchell, kind of give Henry a little break a little bit, keeps his legs fresh. They have some decent receivers with Flowers and Likely, not to mention Hopkins when they use him. The defense, I've been saying it all season, they go where the offense goes. They go where Lamar goes. If they don't feel they have a chance to win the game with their offenses they have on the field, they seem to fall apart. Call it what it is. But when they feel that they have a chance and they see their offense can match what they're doing in their intensity, and they don't sit on the field all day, the Ravens defense could be very dangerous. With that said, the Ravens are 2.5-point favorites over the Pats, who are 11-3. They got spanked last week, let's face it. Ravens didn't really beat up on anybody. To talk about the Bengals, but here I'm taking the Ravens to cover the 2.5 points. And Lamar will do his thing. And then we have the 49ers at the Colts. It doesn't get any easier. 49ers are 10-4. Colts are 8-6. 49ers beat the Titans last week. And the Colts lost a tough one to Seattle. We'll start with the 49ers first. Quietly making a lot of noise in the NFC. This is one of the first seasons that I've seen them do it without the hoopla and the noise and all the nonsense. They're quietly getting it done, and you got to give that coach a credit. Really, he's done a fantastic job. He's got Purdy in there, who missed most of the season. Looks very poised and confident, especially going into the playoffs. As long as he stays healthy, which he looks like he is, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Of course, they have the usual suspects, McCaffrey in the backfield. Kittles always seems to find a way open. And then, of course, Jennings. This guy's an outstanding receiver. Their defense is average. I'm going to put it that way. If you ask me, the offense does the bulk of the work. But, again, it's one of those defenses that can keep you in games. They do a fair job on the secondary. They can put some pressure up front. They're one of those teams that their defense really can't stay on the field too long before they start getting burnt. All right. They just don't seem to have that consistency. And as long as the offense is doing their job and giving them that time to rest, they'll be fine. Let's go to the Colts. Of course, Phillip Rivers is back again, 8-6, trying to keep the Colts afloat to make it into the playoffs. We watched Phillip Rivers last week. I think he only drew for 120, 130 yards. A lot of dib and dab stuff. Well, you probably figured that out already, being he hasn't thrown the ball in the NFL in 4 years. So you've only saw 2 long passes, if that, thrown down the field, maybe 25 yards, and neither one of them connected. That's going to change this week. He's just getting warmed up. This guy has an NFL mind, and he went against one of the top 6 defenses in the NFL last week and gave them a scare. You can only imagine what he's going to do to the 49ers. I believe in Phillip Rivers. He hasn't changed a bit, if you ask me. He completed a lot of his passes, even though they were short, but his timing was good, and so was his accuracy. With that said, they still have Jonathan Taylor, the beast in the East, in the backfield. If he's having a great day, the 49ers are in trouble, okay? He has, of course, Downs, Pittman, Warren, Abdullah, who is a good running back, but also is great on special teams. That kid's quick. As for the defense, looks a lot more rejuvenated compared to the last couple of weeks. It looks like they were hanging their head down and saying to themselves, listen, I guess we're taking an early vacation. But the presence of Phillip Rivers will enlighten you. I'm not saying he's Jesus and all that stuff, okay? But he does know what he's doing, and that defense seemed to come alive. And I believe that's going to be the case again. They're okay. They know how to read a lot of quarterbacks, and the secondaries knows how to play the deep pass. I'd rather them do that, sort of like I can't come. It's not coming to my mind right now, but basically when they play zone, let's put it that way. To me, they're better in the zone coverage, and that's what they need to do. Colts need to stay on the field and keep Purdy off as well with that offense, because McCaffrey can make a lot of noise. With that said, the 49ers are 5.5-point favorites visiting the Colts. Phillip Rivers and company. I'm going with the Colts to at least cover and possibly win that game. I don't see why they can't. I really see a lot of similarities between both teams. Okay, so with that said, 49ers are favored by 5.5. I'm going with the Colts. And it's called the prevent defense. Psst, too much football on your mind, you forget stuff. So quickly, let's go over the picks so you can go about your business for the day and make your decisions. First up, we have the Rams at the Seahawks. Both teams 11-3, both fighting for first place in their division. The Rams on the road will be a 1.5 favorite over the Seahawks. I'm going with the Rams. Then we have Green Bay Packers on the road visiting Chicago. Listen, even though Mitch Parsons is not playing for Green Bay, I believe Jordan Love will get the job done with the people he has and the coaching as well. Green Bay will be a 1.5 favorite over Chicago. I'm taking Green Bay. Then we have Jacksonville visiting the Denver Broncos. Jacksonville 10-4, Denver 12-2. I see the fear factor there. 12-2. A lot of you guys look at the record and like, okay, that's it. I'm not buying it, especially against Trevor Lawrence. Okay, Denver will be only 3-point favorites at this time. Mind you, point spreads can change almost at game time. Technically, most of the time it's Friday night. But with that said, Denver's favorite by 3. I'm going with Jacksonville to possibly win that game too. You heard me say it. All right? I don't like to pick winners but that's the way I see it. Next up, we have Steelers at the Lions. The firepower, the weaknesses in the Steelers' defense and secondary. T.J. Watt possibly not playing, and even if he did, listen, Lions are 6.5-point favorites. Yeah, I'm taking the Lions to beat Pittsburgh in Detroit. And then next up, we have the Pats at The Ravens will be 2.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Ravens over the triumphant Patriots, who everybody's crowning king of the East. As they say, not so fast. Ravens, 2.5-point favorites. Ravens win. And then the 49ers, 5 visiting the Colts. A lot of similarity in both teams. I'm actually going with the old veteran Phillip Rivers to keep this game close. And another possible win. That's 3 games I picked that I really believe they're going to win. But it's all about the points, correct? So with that said, I'm taking the Colts to cover. I'd like to thank everybody for checking in. I wish everybody a safe and happy weekend and good luck. Don't forget the Rams Seahawks Thursday night game. And don't forget to feed the cat. Thank you.